In this video, we're going to take a look at how to add and subtract complex numbers. The first thing to know is that when you're adding and subtracting complex numbers, you are going to add or subtract the real parts depending on the operation, and then you're going to go ahead and add or subtract the imaginary parts depending on the operation. And it's going to work very similar to how it would work if we were adding and subtracting regular numbers with variables. So you could actually think of this imaginary I, this imaginary unit right here, like a variable, and you can treat it like a variable when adding and subtracting. So let's go ahead and take a look at how we would add and subtract these two complex numbers. We have 4 minus 3i, and we're going to add to it negative 4 plus 3i. When we do that, we're going to distribute that positive 1, which really does nothing to this second number here. Let's distribute that positive 1 to get rid of our parentheses there. And we're going to rewrite our terms so that our real parts are together and our imaginary parts are together. And when we add our real parts, 4 minus 4 is 0. And when we add our imaginary parts, negative 3 plus positive 3 is 0. And we get a complex number that has no real part and no imaginary part. These numbers here are referred to as additive inverses of each other. Additive inverses. Because when we added them, we came up with the number 0. So let's go ahead and subtract these two imaginary numbers. We have 5 minus 3i, and we're going to subtract from that negative 2 plus 4i. So let's go ahead and distribute this negative across this term. We have two terms to distribute this negative across. So we'll have 5 minus 3i, and now let's distribute. We'll get a plus 2 and a minus 4i. Let's combine our real portions, 5 plus 2, and then combine our imaginary, negative 3i minus 4i. And when we add our real parts, we get 7, and our imaginary parts, negative 7i. Let's go ahead and do the same with this. Again, this is an addition. When we distribute that positive 1, it really doesn't change that second number. So let's go ahead and rewrite this. Combine our real parts, 7 minus 3. Combine our imaginary parts, 2i plus I. Let's add our real parts together to get 4, and our imaginary parts. When a number is missing in front of your I, it's just going to be a 1. So when we add the imaginary part, it's 2 plus 1 is 3i. And lastly, our last example, let's subtract these two. We have 8 plus 6i, and we have to distribute this negative across both terms. We have a minus 8 and then a positive 6i. Let's go ahead and combine our real portions, combine our imaginary portions. And when we add our real portions, we get 0. When we add our imaginary portions, we get 12i. So this is a pure imaginary number. There's no real part of this number. And that's how you add and subtract imaginary numbers.